Earlier, in price-setting topic, we discussed different ways of trading like bargaining and trade via internet sites as eBay and OLX. We consider trade between a single seller and buyer as well as several sellers and several buyers. And here we still have a question. Why do we trade so much? If you open an OLX website, there is a variety of goods and services offered for sale. It could be started from computer categories and end with beauty items. If you click any of these offers, you will see that someone is willing to sell some product or provide a service in exchange for some other things like goods, service, or money. And these offers explained by the productiveness of people to produce this or that good or service. They perform a job they are good at and exchange it for something that they cannot produce or are not good at. And these reasons lead to trade. People don't want to consume goods they produce and want to consume many more goods than they produce. Imagine the economy where people care about only two things: the web pages and the vegan meals. And there is only one person, Julio, for example, who produces such a goods spending his 8 hours working day. He is able to produce one web page or 2 vegan meals per 1 hour. But because of scarcity of time, he should divide it between these two activities. And his decision depends on his productivity and preference to produce. These ways of producing output from available time and inputs we call technology of production. And the equation of technology is the quantity of vegan meals equals to 2 multiplied by hours spent cooking, and the quantity of web pages, hours spent on web design. In this table, you can see the Julio's production possibilities information, where he allocates his 8 hours. In the first row, Julio spends all his working time in preparing a meal. And the last row shows his possibilities if he spends all his time creating 2 web pages. Other rows gives possibilities of Julio if he combines these 2 goods by allocating 8 hours. In the third and the fourth columns, possibilities are given in quantity, how many web pages and vegan meals are produced at each combination of technology. If he chooses only the meal production, then his output is 16 meals. If he spends all his time on web pages designing, then his output is 8 web pages. We can illustrate this production possibilities information in a graph by putting the quantity of meals on horizontal axis and the quantity of web pages on the y-axis. And the slope of this graph is minus half, 1 divided by 2. You ask why. A reduction of web page production by 1 unit yields an increase in vegan meals production of 2. And here, for example, is the combination of 2 goods, like at the point of C. If you spend 7 hours on web page production and the remaining 1 hour could be spent on production of 2 meals. Taking into account his technology and limited time, all his combinations of goods that can be produced lying on the line connecting A and B. We call it the production possibilities frontier. It is similar to budget line for customer. And here the question: what is the cost of producing this or that good? For instance, to cook 1 more meal, it will take 30 minutes away from web design. Or you can say the cost of producing an additional meal is half of creating the web page. And this is explained by the opportunity cost. To do one thing, you must give up the opportunity to do something else. Also, one more point is that Julio can improve his possibilities of producing goods, and you have to know how. And if he advances or develops his technology to produce or increase his professional skills or working harder, then production possibilities frontier will shift outward. And the graph in this case looks like this. In a situation, if he becomes more skilled at web design, he's able to produce 3 rather than 2 web pages in 2 hours. In B case, Julia decided to increase working hours from 8 to 10 hours, but here he has another opportunity cost, like the less time of his leisure activities. This is the end of the first short story. Then let's add one more person to our economy. In comparison with Julia's possibilities, Hannah produces 1 meal in 1 hour or 1/2 web pages in 1 hour. And the possibilities information of these 2 people is here in this table. As you see, Hannah is more productive in web pages. On the contrary, Julia is more productive in vegan meals. In this case, we have the next economic idea, which identifies production abilities of individuals or business entities, like comparative advantage and absolute advantage. If the person produces more of the good in a given time than another person, then this person has absolute advantage. If person's opportunity cost of producing the good is lower than of another person, then this person has comparative advantage. If we compare Hannah and Julia, Hannah has an absolute advantage and comparative advantage in web design, for example, while Julia is more productive and has low opportunity cost in vegan meals. Julia, who is good at meals, spends half his time on web design, and Hannah, who is good at web design, spends 3/4 of her time on cooking. Each of them are unproductive in some activity if they act individually, but there is a chance to increase production possibilities by coming together, creating a team. And if both of them devote these 8 hours, then economy produces 20 web pages or cooking 24 vegan meals. These 2 points in graph, like A and D, shows specialization outcomes of this economy in one good. Looking at this graph, we see if Julia acting alone, he produces 4 web pages and 8 vegan meals. If Hannah works individual, produces 3 web pages and 6 vegan meals. And the sum of these 2 gives 7 web pages and 14 vegan meals. And then look at their outcomes when they act together as a joint team. Their output in this case is 9 web pages and 18 vegan meals. How do they do this? As we know, Julia specializes in vegan meals and spends all his 8 hours cooking and producing these 16 vegan meals, while Hannah gets to spend most of her time on things which she does best, designing web pages. Julia specializes completely in vegan meals, and he spends all 8 hours of his day cooking and producing 16 vegan meals, while Hannah, meanwhile, gets to spend most of her time doing what she does best, designing web pages. She spends 6 hours on web designing and producing 9 web pages and 2 remaining hours cooking, producing 2 vegan meals. She doesn't produce additional web pages because it will take her 1.5 hours. And in order to effectively use these remaining 2 hours, she chooses production of 2 meals in 2 hours. And each of these persons specializes in the production of goods at which they have advantages and exchange them to get the goods that they're happy with. As a result, we came to the conclusion that comparative and absolute advantage is like one of the reasons why people trade with each other, and special sites like OLX give chance to organize such trades. And these advantages take entities' possibility to choose the right technology of production with minimum cost and maximum benefit. In order to make this in the right way, people should be specialized in their best sites.